Hello, my name is Wigger Sandia, and today we're going to be going over prototyping. So, why is prototyping so important? Prototyping is important because it's a great communication tool with stakeholders to help clear up requirements, right? It helps clear up ambiguous requirements, it helps bring up requirements that might otherwise be missed. And so, in the long run, it helps avoid things like requirements churn, which basically means having to change the code later on because the customer decided to change something or something wasn't cleared up, right? So, it's much easier to change something when it's just a sketch than when it's actual code, such as a web page or something like that. Prototyping is the industry standard for that reason. So, what is prototyping? Prototyping can take on the form of sketches, wireframes, sequence diagrams, flowcharts, whatever. Basically, the point is to show how the app will look and feel and progress for the users, right? So here are some examples. It can be some simple sketches or some more complicated storyboards that show the flow. Um, it can be whatever really suits the needs of the particular situation. So a quick note on wireframing is to not get too wireframing and sketching and prototyping in general is to not get too bogged down on the details. You know, we don't care about what specific images, what colors of the buttons we'll be doing, none of that. We do care about the data that we'll be presenting and how we will be presenting it to the users and the layout of it. So that is the most important things to do. But everything else is extra information that we don't need in these prototypes or wireframes. So we don't include it. As you can see here, they just put X's for the pictures and a bunch of lines for wherever there be a paragraph of text. Some findings, some quick notes on prototyping is that it does take extra time and money to do, obviously because it's an extra step in the process, right? In the development process, it's an extra thing that you have to do. So it can take extra time. But in the long run, it can help save a lot of time and money because it can help save having to do a lot of rewriting of code and stuff like that, right? So um, I think this can be, it's a thing that can be advantageous in the long run. A quick note on prototyping with Agile is that um, prototyping can actually help make up some of Agile's lack of documentation because each of these prototypes, diagrams, can become artifacts and things that we add on to the documentation. We're making diagrams and stuff like that, so that is 100% stuff that we can add to, and that can become documentation for a project. And also, um, requirements gathering in general in agile usually isn't super highly prioritized, formal requirements gathering. So building prototypes is a good way to incentivize that and to facilitate it. Prototyping also in general just is a good way to communicate with people. It's just visual communication in general can usually get a lot more information in than just words and just verbally speaking with somebody. It can also help, when you do a diagram, the user can point out exactly what they like and what they don't like and what they want to move and what they want to change. So it's easier to communicate. A quick note though, if you're doing prototyping with Agile, remember to take a step back regularly and to not forget about non-functional requirements because usually these are not expressed in prototypes. Here's a study that I found that proves that prototyping does work. It was respondents were asked to evaluate an improvement or lack of improvement in the quality attributes for projects that they did with prototyping and without prototyping. The black sections of the responses are participants who gave no response. The gray ones are participants who said there was an increase in the quality of their projects, and the white one is a decrease. As you can see, most people that reported um, said that there was an increase in the quality of their projects. Some tips for successful prototyping is to keep stakeholders and customers in the loop, get frequent feedback from them, and update the prototypes as needed based on that feedback. Also, not every customer and stakeholder will be tech savvy, so make sure to make diagrams and whatever prototypes that you make sure that they are understandable by people that don't have high technical knowledge. Some great tools for prototyping: Sketch, Envision, Mockups, Wireframe. .cc. Note on Sketch though, it is for macOS only, but it is very, very popular. All of these are industry standard though. Prototyping, in conclusion, is just a great communication tool. So therefore, it helps clear up requirements because the foundation requirements is just getting the information from the stakeholders that they already have in their heads, right? So prototyping is just a great way to facilitate that during the requirements phase. Helps get everybody on the same page, and it helps get rid of some ambiguity in the requirements, or even bring some requirements that might not, that the team might not even think of, but it just comes up when discussing a prototype, right? And things that the stakeholders like and don't like. It can also be used as a great tool to facilitate the process of requirements gathering. So if the business analyst sees that they're getting stuck, they can't come up with any more questions. They can do some prototypes and ask the stakeholders or customers to look at it, and then that will spark a new phase of requirements. Here are my sources, and thank you for listening.